Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 105, NFL Playoffs, where Jared was right and wrong. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, of course I'm going to be talking NFL Playoffs wildcard round, and I want to see where I got right and where I got wrong based on last week's predictions.
Right? Wrong.
But of course, that part's going to be saved for the end of the episode. Before getting into that, I want to talk about my Mount Rushmore of best NBA dunkers.
You heard of the dream team? Well, we're the mean team.
I recently came across a video where Shaq and Reggie Miller were talking about their Mount Rushmores, and I personally think they missed out on some big ones, because they were seeing it from the old criteria. And I'm going to explain to you guys what the new criteria is. Following that, I have a Mel Robbins clip, which is a powerful reminder that we can't control others' thoughts and others' emotions, so it's time to all of us stop obsessing over them.
You're so obsessed with me!
This felt like she was talking directly to me, being that I'm a super sensitive person, and I'm also a people pleaser. After that, I have a clip coming from a monk, where he tells you why if you're gonna overthink things, overthink the positives. And also as an eternal optimist, I love this message and it's right at my wheelhouse. Following that, I have a powerful clip coming from Tebow that highlights treating everyone with respect and valuing everyone, regardless of someone's status. And of course, to close things up, we're talking NFL playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
As well as all the latest news coming from around the NBA too. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, that must mean that you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts in the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done this already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links to purchase it are on my website, which is jaredbryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEASS.com. Buy the book, support me, and make sure to check out all the awesome shirts in there as well. Every shirt has been designed by me, every shirt is made of 100% organic cotton, so any support at all, as I'm always saying, would be very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper into this rabbit hole now. So to start things off, I saw a video coming from Shaq and Reggie Miller the other day, talking about their Mount Rushmores of best NBA dunkers. And I have to say, some of these I strongly disagree with.
Can you dig it?
So I figured it's time I give you guys my Mount Rushmore of NBA dunkers. And of course I'm going to explain my choices afterwards. So I'm going with Vince Carter, Gerald Green, Zach LaVine, and Aaron Gordon. Now I would also accept MJ, LeBron, Dwight Howard, Jay Rich, Jason Richardson, Dr. J, and Nate Robinson all as viable options. But here's my whole thing. We have to separate someone who dunks hard versus an actual good creative high-flying dunker who has a super deep bag with it.
Oh my lord.
Now, here's my reason why that is. Ever since pro dunking came around, at least for me, I feel like the bar has been raised drastically. Now Vince Carter, totally ahead of his time. MJ and Dr. J to an extent ahead of their time as well. But if you watch some of these past dunk contests, you'd see the same dunk over and over and over again, the same windmill or even the same off the backboard with two hands dunks, and the announcer would be like, look at that power.
High above the rim, and the perfect score.
But now that I've seen so much online, I need you to wow me. So, Vince Carter, of course, saved the dunk contest back in the year 2000. He hit every dunk first try, he came super prepared, he brought in the whole honey dip arm in the rim, he did a 360 windmill perfectly, a powerful between the legs dunk, and he knew he won it. And of course, beyond that, even all of his in-game dunks, whether it's 360s or windmills or poster dunks, I actually kind of miss the days where some of these guys would actually put more effort into their in-game dunks, especially all the fast break dunks. And speaking of which, I love seeing LeBron's in-game windmill last week. I feel these days, most time it's just a simple one-hander or two-hander with minimal effort. I mean, come on guys, you gotta get the crowd excited. Then we have Gerald Green, possibly the highest jumper in NBA history. I mean, he could get his whole head above the rim, I think. I saw him do it in practices when he was on the Pacers and the Suns. And I've also said it before, his blowing out the candle above the rim on the cupcake was honestly my favorite dunk contest dunk ever. The creativity and level of danger even was so high. I mean, if he messes it up, the whole net could go on fire, I guess. He also did the whole D Brown dunk with his eyes closed or covered. I'm pretty sure he was actually in 2 or 3 dunk contests. And he put on an absolute show in all of them. Now beyond that, his height on his in-game dunks was also like unreal. He'd go baseline and fly over you for like a two-handed jam. And he also was like the sickest in-game windmill alley-oop ever, I think. And to round out that Mount Rushmore, as I said earlier, we have Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. So these guys brought back the dunk contest again. I think it was 2016. And they may have had like the best head-to-head dunk contest in any contest ever. Zach LaVine, of course, off one leg is unmatched. He was doing E-Space from the free throw line. He also hit like the behind-the-back 360 while wearing the Toon Squad jersey. And then once, so like in one of his practices, he actually hit like a free throw line 360, which is insane. Especially off one leg, it's like even crazier. Actually, I'm not sure about that. But of course, in-game, he could do it all too. He's an absolute speed jumper, like he can take out from super far out. And of course, Aaron Gordon, if we're speaking from like a pro dunker fan's perspective, he brought that level of creativity into the NBA dunk contest. Whether it was a spinning scoop dunk taking the ball out of like the mascot's hand, or the under both legs dunk over the mascot who was on a hoverboard, or the double pump and then like under and dunk. He got robbed in that contest, I believe. But anyway, he's an absolute legend. The feats that like Aaron Gordon could do in midair with the ball in his hand are incredible. And plus like he also brings the power too. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and like let me know who's in your Mount Rushmore of NBA dunkers too. Now next up we have a Mel Robbins clip which talks about stop obsessing over what everyone else is thinking and doing. Let's watch together.
Stop obsessing over what everyone else is doing, thinking, what their expectations are, their opinions. Enough. This reminder is for all of you who are very, very sensitive, okay? This is one of the most healthy habits you can develop. Take nothing personally. Because if you're sensitive, number one, I love you. Your sensitivity is a gift. But number two, you gotta listen up because that gift also ricochets back and hits you in the forehead, okay? Because if you're someone who gets hurt easily because you're reading into the tone of a text, or you read into how long it takes somebody to respond, or whether or not they showed up or didn't show up or canceled or said no, or what is their emotional state, or what is their face looking like, this is a reminder that is gonna bring you a lot of peace. Especially in those moments where you start to think the world is against you. That was me. Super emotional, deep feelings, reading into the moods of everybody. And if you've ever heard me talk about the let them theory, the let them theory is how you learn the habit. Take nothing personally. Because when you say let them, you are forcing yourself to give people the dignity of their own emotions, their own thoughts, their own opinions. And when you say let them, you're cueing yourself, say, okay, let them think, feel, and do whatever they want. Now let me remind myself, I get to choose whether or not I take this personally. When you say let them think what they want, let them not invite you, let them be who they are, let them be who they're not. Let them be in a bad mood. Let them misunderstand you. Let them try to give you a guilt trip. Let them. Because your power is not in becoming a mind reader or a parent to other adults. Your power is in this habit. Take nothing personally. When someone disagrees with you, do not allow yourself to start questioning your capabilities. Let them disagree with you, and let me remind myself, their disagreeing with me doesn't mean anything about me. Stop auditioning for approval from people who are stressed out, distracted, overwhelmed, emotionally immature, and constantly projecting on you. Stop letting somebody else's nervous system run your day. Let their mood be theirs. Your life is yours. Take nothing personally, and you get your power back.
So I don't know about you guys, but I felt like Mel was talking directly to me in this one. I am in fact a highly sensitive person, and this is like definitely a superpower of mine.
You have powers!
I used to think of it like as a weakness, but now it's actually one of my favorite things about myself. And I've come like to truly embrace my sensitivity. However, she's totally right, because there are times where having this can backfire. I am totally the guy who overanalyzes someone's texting tone or their response time. I also overanalyze every conversation that I have. If this person didn't smile at me or didn't have the reaction I was expecting or hoping for, I sometimes spiral and I'm like, does this person not like me anymore?
They couldn't just say hello?
Did I say the wrong thing? Did I upset them? But I really love what she said at the end, which is to stop auditioning for other people's approval. And also as I read about in her book The Let Them Theory, all those things are beyond my control. I can't control what others think or feel about me. And it's not easy being sensitive sometimes. I love it, but it can be a challenge because sometimes you actually have to reinstall logic into situations. So you have to be did I actually say something wrong or bad? Or is that person just distracted and having a rough day? Maybe they were actually too busy to respond to my text. I don't know, but it's not my job to audition for them or to need their approval. If they do like me and they do know me really well, they're always going to understand I do everything with the best of intentions. And if they're going to like me, I'm not going to have to change who I am or hyperfixate on every little thing I do or say. And this is of course easier said than done, but I do appreciate the reminder from Mel to let them have their thoughts, let them have their feelings. I can't control those things, but I can give myself power by reminding myself of this and remembering that my power comes from my response, not how they react. Now next up I have a Tim Tebow clip where he talks about a story about what if someone dropped a penny versus dropping a diamond ring. And I'm going to share a powerful analogy coming after this. So let's listen together.
Let's hear an example. Let's say I dropped a penny and I said, hey guys, I dropped a penny. I need you guys to help me find this penny. Y'all would look at me and be like, you're an idiot. Who cares? It's just a penny. But if Demi dropped her diamond wedding ring and I said, hey guys, she dropped her wedding ring, stop and we got to find it. There's a couple of things that you guys would probably stop and help us find it. Why? Because you know that it's valuable, but you also would know that it's innately valuable to her as her wedding ring. But how often in our society do we treat people that are suffering like pennies instead of more priceless than any diamond ring that's ever been created?
Oof, love that. Super powerful. So this is a really great analogy and super relevant when it comes to status in our society. I'm not sure if that's what Tebow was referring to here, but this is how I took it. So it's what if a celebrity who you really like a lot, and you admire all their work, came up to you to ask for your help? Would you say yes? Probably, and with no hesitation at all.
I'm so there, it's insane.
Now, what if a friend or family member asked you for help? A lot of the people out there would probably have to think about it more. And that shouldn't be how it works. If anything, it should actually be totally flipped around, and we should all be valuing those who are closest to us. Now let's take a common example I love to use all the time, which is content creation, because this is really going to bring the point home. So, how often do we see someone who will like all their favorite celebrities' posts, zero hesitation, and before even reading them? That person has a million other people who are liking their post, and they don't know who you are from a hole in the wall, and yet you're blindly supporting them. Now, what about your friend who's trying to become a full-time content creator? Why is it that so many people are going to have to think about it and analyze that post so deeply, when meanwhile that same thought process did not go into liking their celebrities' posts? Meanwhile, I can tell you from my own experience that on my posts where I only get 3 or 4 likes on them, I appreciate and acknowledge every single one of those people. Do you think that celebrity is going to know whether or not you like their post? Now I'm not saying we can't also like their posts too, but what I am saying is that we shouldn't be treating the people who are in our lives like pennies. We shouldn't be taking them for granted and being oh, they'll understand, they just aren't as important. This person doesn't have the same social status. A common quote I see on social media often is that I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how many followers you have, I care about how you treat people. And this is a quote that I totally live by as well. It's so common yet sad that so many people out there are going to treat someone differently based on all these superficial things like money, followers, or status, but it's really just people at the end of the day.
Fancy living, here we come.
You're not better than me based on some number, and I'm not better than you based on some number either. So consider this when it comes to your loved ones, or even a stranger who's kind and doing their thing too. Just simply a comment or a like, or even a smile in person goes a long way. Now branching off of the Mel Robbins clip I just shared, I have the perfect solution or addition to that point, and so this is about overthinking the positives. Let's watch together.
If you are going to overthink, then overthink the positives. Overthink the best outcome. Overthink how good this life could be. Overthink how peaceful it would feel if things slowly, quietly worked out. Because the mind has a habit, it leans toward fear. It replays the past. It worries about a future that hasn't arrived. We imagine the worst-case scenario. We revisit old mistakes. We carry tomorrow's weight before it is real. But what if the mind is gently turned in another direction? Let this be the intention for 2026. To overthink the positives, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if the mind resists at first. Some will say it isn't possible, but healing often begins with a new direction of attention. To imagine the best outcome in each moment, to picture the best version of the path unfolding, friendships that nourish, places that feel like home, work that aligns with the spirit, not by denying what is hard, but by choosing where the mind rests. This may not make life perfect, but it can make it softer and perhaps a little happier. When a negative thought appears, notice it, thank it, and let it pass. Then gently return attention to what could go right. This is not a rule, it is simply an invitation. If you choose to overthink the positives in 2026, write "I choose peace" below and follow to continue this journey.
Now once again, as an eternal optimist, this often comes easy to me, but I know for a lot of people, this can be easier said than done. Because sometimes we, or even I, get into one of these downward spirals, where it's if this happens, I'm never going to make any money. Or I'll never achieve my dreams, and it's all going to be too late. And I won't be able to do this or that. I'm sure we've all been there at one point or another. I get asked all the time, how is it I'm always so positive, and how is it I'm always smiling seemingly all the time? And of course, it's not possible to be 100% happy all the time, every minute of every single day. But one reason why I am so happy the vast majority of the time is because I always try to find the good and focus on the good in every situation. And I also choose to remain hopeful.
Don't give me hope.
It's not about ignoring the bad or controlling your thoughts and making pretend all the bad thoughts don't exist. But you can stay mindful when you're down there. Thank yourself whenever one of those thoughts comes up. But then as soon as you come back up, rewire your brain to find all the positives and reasons to be hopeful. And be very mindful of all your self-talk as well as all the content that you interact with, the music that you listen to, the movies that you watch. Are they helping to uplift you in your dreams, or are they tearing you down? Maybe this didn't happen for me today, but tomorrow's going to be a much better day. Maybe all this was actually working in my favor. Yes, I got knocked down, but I was actually being divinely protected, and that setback was actually building up my comeback to be even stronger. Maybe I haven't achieved all my goals just yet, but I'm a lot farther along than I was 2 years ago. And my process is going to get me there when the time is right. And the more of these words we speak to ourselves, we are manifesting our dreams, and when we train our minds to see the good more often, we're going to find it too. So when we see that there is good and bad in the world basically at all times, but we choose to see the good more often because it's there for us, as long as you're willing to look hard enough, you're going to be lucky more often and you're going to attract better outcomes overall. Anyways, on to this week's sports recap, NFL playoff thoughts, and NBA news as well. Let's go now. So this week's football segment is of course inspired by Colin Cowherd's segment on his show, The Herd. So we're going Jared right, Jared wrong, hour 3. Jared was right, Jared was wrong on a Tuesday. Let's go now. And surprisingly, I know I'm super shocked about it too, but there was a lot more wrong than right when it came to my predictions from last week in the NFL. So my hope is that you guys didn't place any bets based on my picks. So the first up where Jared was wrong, which happened to be the most painful one, was watching my Green Bay Packers blow a massive lead against the Bears. And so I actually watched a really bad movie over the weekend, but I would honestly rather watch that another 5 times than have to watch that second half again. I mean, if you're the Packers, how do you give up 25 points in the fourth quarter to Caleb Williams in that offense, who was atrocious the whole first half? And the hardest part about that game was that I still walk away thinking the Packers are the far more talented and the way better team. Jordan Love, of course, played phenomenal. He went for over 300 yards and had 4 touchdown passes. Matthew Golden showed us what all of us have been waiting for. He's most definitely going to be star receiver for years to come. And I thought his 6th touchdown actually sealed the deal in that game. But of course, poor clock management, missed kicks, and horrible defense giving the receivers on the Bears way too much room led to this absolutely devastating loss for the Packers. Now, if Micah Parsons was healthy, I don't think that happens, but it never should have happened anyways. On the other side, Caleb Williams looked horrible for the first 3 quarters of that game, and he still only completed 50% of his passes, but he also made some absolutely ridiculous throws and passed for over 300 yards total. Now, I do see a lot of people out there who are crowning him a superstar already, so let me tell you where I stand on him. He has an incredibly strong arm, super talented, and he's of course a super athlete. But I still don't see how this is that different from Tim Tebow. And hey, let me just make one thing clear. Tebow is actually one of my all-time favorite athletes, and his teams won the games in a very similar way to what I'm seeing right now. Caleb probably has a little bit more talent and is a better player, but a rough game through 3 quarters and then turns on in the 4th? Why was Tebow always hated for that? I think he should have been given more chances. Anyways, Caleb makes some passes where you're how is this guy an NFL QB? But then he makes other throws where you're that has to be one of the best plays I've ever seen. Anyways, heartbreaking loss, and as Ben Johnson stated, this is a rivalry. Where Jared was right. So my one correct pick, which almost wasn't, was the Rams beating the Panthers, and it took them to the end of the game in order to do so. I didn't predict it was going to be that close. I thought this was going to be the one blowout game from this toss-up week, but the Panthers might just be the Rams' kryptonite. And also, of course, Sean McVay not taking the 3 points to go up 13 in the first half was a horrible decision, and almost came back to cost them the game. And speaking of which, this seems to be really bad theme amongst all teams. In case you guys forgot, 3 is worth more than 0, and so often those points are needed once again in the end. Anyways, Matthew Stafford had a fantastic start to this game, alongside Puka Nacua, who might just be the most talented player in all of football right now. He's absolutely incredible. He had 10 catches for 111 yards and a receiving touchdown, as well as a rushing touchdown too. Plus he also broke up an interception. Now Stafford did have a little rough patch in this game, which I actually attribute to his finger injury more than anything else. But in that 4th quarter, he reminded us why he's the MVP from this year. He went 12 of 15 with 2 touchdown passes, including the game-winner Moss catch by Kobe Parkinson, which was a thing of beauty. And hey, credit to Bryce Young and the Panthers for giving them a run for their money and keeping it super close the whole game. But hopefully this doesn't take the confidence out of my Super Bowl pick, the Rams, and rather they use this as a test to make them even stronger going forward. Next, where Jared was wrong, but not fully wrong. Let me explain. I did predict the Jags were going to beat the Bills, and that the Jags were for real. But I also said that if Josh Allen becomes Superman, they're always going to have a chance. And in this year, where the Bills should be the AFC team to beat with no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson, this should be their year, but I still don't trust their defense. Anyways, of course, as we all saw, Superman took over despite getting injured all around. So Josh Allen went 28 of 35 with 273 yards passing, a touchdown pass to go along with 2 rushing touchdowns too. And so despite the Jaguars shutting down James Cook, it wasn't enough. And Trevor Lawrence actually played an overall solid game. Yes, he threw 2 picks, but he also 3 passing touchdowns. A few tip passes didn't go their way, and of course they ran into the juggernaut who is Josh Allen. Next, where Jared was sort of wrong, I guess, was where the 49ers beat the Eagles 23-19. Now let me explain this one a bit further. I said that this playoffs had the most toss-ups, which I was definitely right about that, and within those toss-ups, my biggest one was the 49ers and the Eagles. And I was in fact rooting for the 49ers. I just felt maybe the Eagles' experience would be a factor in this game, and of course the Niners are super banged up. But for that team to lose Bosa, Fred Warner, Bethune, Pearsall, Ayuk not to play a single game this year, and now Kittle getting hurt in this game, for that team to beat the defending champs is incredible. Kyle Shanahan and defensive coordinator Robert Saleh are probably the 2 best coaches in all of football right now. And plus that play call with the receiver reverse pass from Jennings to McCaffrey was unbelievable. Perfect timing, perfect play call, and it was executed amazingly. While on the other side, AJ Brown did not have a good game. He had some key drops, and Jalen Hurts also missed some big throws here. It looks to me like all that fighting from the regular season carried over into the playoffs, and now the defending champs are done. And as much as I like Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, I don't like the Eagles, and so I was rooting for the 49ers. And so for my next, Jared was right. The NFC West was in fact the best division in all of football. I've been saying this for weeks now, and now you have 3 of the 4 teams remaining in the NFC coming from the NFC West. So hey, there's a nice feather in my cap. The next where Jared was wrong, I thought the Chargers were going to upset the Patriots, But where I was right was I actually said like the Patriots' key to winning that game was going to be to sack Herbert 10 times. And like I didn't think that doing that was going to be unrealistic. And hey, I wasn't too far off with that. So for anyone out there blaming that loss on Justin Herbert, I'm sorry, but like, do you guys see like, the absolute beating that he took in that game? The Patriots went to absolute war on Justin Herbert. And playing behind that O-line, he couldn't do anything. I mean, honestly, my biggest takeaway from this game is that like, it's a miracle that Justin Herbert is alive and walked off that field standing up. And I'm only half joking because like he got lit up every play. I'm pretty sure he got hit 21 times and got sacked 6 times. But also, I'm not super impressed with the Pats, honestly. Especially offensively. Drake made like a decent game, but like he also had 2 turnovers. But this game to me was more about the Pats defense only giving up 3 points. And not too far off from what the Pats did, we have a final where Jared was wrong. Which is I thought like the Steelers were going to beat the Texans. I was aware like that the Texans defense is for real. And was definitely the best defense in the NFL. And the team has been like super hot over the past like 10 weeks. And so DeMeco Ryans schemed up like to put a beating on Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't pretty. It was definitely tough to watch one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks take a beating like that. And the Steelers' momentum also got ruined after like a key drop by DK Metcalf in the first half, I think. I felt like that Rodgers was going to find some magic in this game, especially with DK Metcalf's return. But a late game fumble got returned for a touchdown. He also threw a pick 6, and this game got ugly fast. I really hope like this isn't the end for Aaron Rodgers. And I hope like we don't forget like he had a great season this year. And this game was more on the O-line I think than anything else. He just ran into like the best defense in football with not enough weapons, honestly. Where he was right though was like I don't trust CJ Stroud enough. He's in fact the Texans' limiting factor, I think. And he kept the Steelers in that game like he had 3 turnovers. He looks really good at times but like bad at others. And he's gonna have to be like way more consistent if the Texans want to make a run in this playoffs. So now it's time for my divisional round predictions. And I know, of course, I was 1 of 6 last week, but hopefully this week is going to be better. I do have some hope. But of course, I have no guarantees, so don't place any bets based on my picks. Please don't. First up, we have the Bills playing the Broncos, playing in that mile-high city of Denver. And if this were any other player not named Josh Allen, I would say that like this is way too tall of a task, but I also can't put anything past him. I'm so tempted to pick the Bills, but of course, my initial Super Bowl prediction was the Rams versus the Broncos. So since those 2 teams are still in it, in spite of all my wrong picks from last week, I don't want to go back on that. I'm sticking to it. I will say like I won't be surprised if Buffalo wins the AFC, but for now I'm sticking with a loose pick of the Broncos. Super well coached, at home you have a clutch Bo Nix at quarterback, and also a top-notch defense. But just as I said last week, if Josh Allen turns into Superman, the team can never be counted out. Then we have 49ers Seahawks, a rematch of Week 18. And as much as like I would love for the 49ers story to continue, with those plethora of injuries to all their key players, including now George Kittle, not saying it can happen, but Seattle's defense has been like so good all season. And in that Week 18 game, the Niners only put up 3 points against them. So I'm rooting for the Niners, but like if I had to pick, I'm going with the Seahawks. I think Sam Darnold's going to have like a really big game, and I think the Seahawks are going to win. Then we have the Texans versus the Patriots, which is like super interesting matchup. And this one could be like my biggest toss-up of the week. That Texans D is of course for real. And like of course they put hits on Rodgers all game. And that team swarms the ball every play. Danielle Hunter is an absolute beast and so is like Al-Shaair. I do think once again the limiting factor is going to be CJ Stroud for the Texans. But that team has been so hot and the Pats didn't look great once again last week. At the very least on offense, like up until like the 3rd or 4th quarter, the Pats offense like mostly stalled against the Chargers, who do have a good defense, but like are nothing like the Texans. Maybe they're going to try the same pressure schemes against Stroud to force him into some turnovers, but honestly, I'm going with the Texans in this game. And finally, Rams-Bears. So once again, the Rams are in fact my Super Bowl team, and I'm not backing away from them now. Once again, I'll say it again, this game should be a blowout, but I also know like it's not going to be. If the Rams score early and take an early lead, I'll say this to them now, do not take your feet off the gas. I've seen that movie with the Bears way too many times now against my Packers, but even with like the Bears at home in this game, I think the Rams are a far better and far more talented team. It's not going to be a blowout once again, but like, I do think the Bears' magic might just run out, and I think the Rams and their MVP quarterback Matthew Stafford are going to advance. And now for some NBA news. So the biggest news from this week, of course, was Trae Young getting traded to the Wizards for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. And I will say, like, for a 25-10 average guy, The Wizards didn't even have to give up a draft pick to get him. And plus, like, that team has been playing much better as of recently. I mean, Alex Sarr has been developing nicely. Bilal, I forget his last name, has been playing well, and same thing with Champagny. I say give that team like another year or two, and that team is going to be like in the playoffs, I think. On the other side, I feel like the Hawks have some solid pieces, whether it's Jalen Johnson, who's become like a star in the NBA, and who's still like super young. You also have like the great defender in Dyson Daniels. And I get like Trae Young doesn't play defense, but honestly, what superstars do play defense these days? That's why like there's the whole emergence of the 3-and-D guy, to make up for the superstars who don't defend, honestly. And of course, I would also say like Trae Young is a super unselfish player, he's a great passer, and with the right pieces around him, he can make them like a lot better. So maybe this was like just a case of, we feel like we've gotten as far as we could with this team and like with this style, and so it's time to change things up. Anyways, elsewhere in the NBA, so I need something else to be right about after going 1 of 6 when it came to my NFL picks from this past weekend. So in Portland, the Blazers have been proving me right. As I've been saying recently, that's definitely a team to watch out for. They have a really good young team who plays super hard, and they have a lot of young talent, from Denny Avdia to Donovan Klingon to Shaden Sharp, Caleb Love coming off the bench, another surprise who I knew was going to shine in the NBA. And they went on like a nice winning streak this past week, beating Houston twice, I think. And yes, I know like a lot of players out there are complaining about like the whistle that Denny Avdia gets. However, if you watch him in like his play style, he is probably the most aggressive driver in the NBA. He doesn't shy away from contact at all. He's looking to attack every single time down the floor. And he's developing into like a really, really good player. And he should be an all-star this year. My favorite team, the Lakers, have now dropped 3 in a row. As of last night's loss against the Sacramento Kings. And look, LeBron has been doing his thing, especially on offense. And in that game against Milwaukee over the weekend, he was the best player on the court for most of that game. And even gave like an effort on defense too. Yes, he got blocked and stripped by Giannis at the end. But at 41 years old, he's giving you everything he has, and like he's playing really well. Luka, of course, has been cooking on offense too. As he had 42, 8, and 7 last night. But sometimes, especially on defense, the team just like looks lost. The rotations just aren't there. And even sometimes like on offense, there's just like no movement or just a bunch of missed shots, which of course is going to happen. But this team needs like a lot more consistency coming from the supporting cast and a lot more effort on defense from everyone. Anyways, that's your sports recap for the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's finish up the video now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed all the topics. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys liked what you heard, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.